Hi, welcome to another review by Shog. It's been a while since I did a series review because I was in Limerick for a couple of weeks. So, and I also got a request by someone, someone asked me if I read the Guild Hunter series. So that's why today my review is going to be on the Guild Hunter series because I just finished reading the first two books and I thought I'd do a review on it since someone mentioned it. And also I'm not feeling 100% at the moment, which you might be able to hear in my voice, but if I have to stop to have some water, don't mind me. Okay, so the Guild Hunter series has 4 books so far, and it's written by, Nalini Singh or something. Singh is the surname. I'm not sure how you pronounce that. Anyway, there's been 4 novels so far, and I've read the first 2. But there's also kind of short stories and novellas and kind of prequels out as well that you need to watch out for. And the 4th book, which was recently out, I think it's called Archangel's Blade. That's from someone else's point of view. And the first 3 books are from the main girl, Elena, and the main guy, Raphael, their point of view. So just be aware of that. But anyway, I read the first 2 books and I'll explain why. I downloaded the first book a while ago and I just kind of had it on my e-reader on a to read list, and I decided to read it. And I wasn't expecting a lot from it, but I was pleasantly surprised because the more I read it, the more I got into it. And I really liked it at the beginning. I thought Elena was a good character, and she's described as having like almost white blonde hair, which is a change for a character. And the cover art for the books, the girl on it is really good looking, and I know it always helps you imagine the character more when there's like a real life person on the cover. Anyway, she works for this guild and she's a hunter and she hunts vampires, and she doesn't really kill them, she just takes them back to their masters. And in this world, the makers and the masters and the controllers of vampires are angels, and then there's higher up angels, there's archangels, and they actually have wings. They can't really cover them and they like fly around and people are aware of them. People kind of are in awe of them, but they also quite fear them because they're so like old, powerful, strong creatures. And you don't really see much of the vampires. Some of them work for the angels and some of them are just kind of stupid, and you have to serve your maker or master for about 100 years. And so that's Elena's job, bringing back escaped vampires or whatever. And then she gets a request by an archangel, Raphael. He needs her help to track down not just a vampire, but another angel. Maybe it's another archangel even, Uriel. And she's terrified in one way, but she stands up to this Raphael, and she knows he can kill her in an instant, but she doesn't want to kind of like do what he says, and he has this kind of mind control ability as well. He can get into her mind, and the more she kind of resists him, the more he's kind of like fascinated by her, because we also read from his point of view. And he's like, he feels a strange kind of connection to her, like this strange concern for her, and he doesn't want to see her hurt or see anyone else with her, and he starts to get a bit territorial kind of with her. And obviously throughout the book then you see them getting close, and I enjoyed the first book, I really did. I thought it was good, and I said this before, usually I hate when there's more than one person narrating a book. But in this case I was kind of interested to see how Raphael felt about Elena, because usually in these types of situations where you see this kind of strong, stoic, silent male character who kind of falls for the girl, you don't really get to see how he falls and what he's thinking. And in this book you do, which is good for a change. But it's nice for a change. Okay, so that was the first book. But then the second book, it was a lot different, and there was just something about it I didn't like. It just dragged a little bit, and it just wasn't exciting. I read it in bits and pieces, and I just wasn't crazy about it. And then usually, if you've seen my other reviews, even with series I don't like, I always end up reading practically the whole series. And recently I've just kind of stopped doing that. Like if I don't love a book completely and I'm not 100% looking forward to the next one, I'm just not going to read it. And I kind of started doing that lately. And with the Guild Hunter series, like I wasn't pushed to read the third book. I mean, I have it on my e-reader and everything, and there was other books I wanted to read before it. And then I read a review, I read a few reviews on it, and the majority of them were negative, and they were saying it's just like a sex scene every second page, and it just dragged out a little bit, and obviously other people did like it, but then I was like, yeah, I'm not pushed to read it, so I never read the third book. And obviously I didn't read the fourth book, and I wasn't even planning to read that one actually, because it's from a completely different person's point of view, and I know it's from a person we've seen in the other books, but still. So it's a pity that the second book wasn't amazing enough for me, and I didn't bother reading the third book. Who knows, eventually in the future I might, but I mean, if someone else out there has, convinced me that the third book is great and I have to read it. That's my review, that the first book was good, the second book I didn't love, and the third and fourth I didn't read. So it's not a complete review on the series, I'm afraid. But I would suggest you read the first book because it is good, and if you absolutely love the first book, then read the rest. If you think the first book's okay, I wouldn't bother reading the rest. So that's kind of my final thoughts. Okay, so that was my relatively spoiler-free review, and now I'm going to do a review for those who have read the series or for those who just want to know the spoilers. So if you don't want to know the spoilers, or press pause or switch up to another video or something, no. Okay, so Raphael and Elena, I did like them at the beginning. They kind of developed nicely in the first book, but I didn't like the whole mind reading thing sometimes, because I was even unsure whether he was, like what Elena was thinking he was making her think or making her read, because in the book they didn't even change the font of the writing or the italics. We just had every few minutes we just kind of had her stop reading my mind, get out of my head, and I was like, was he in her head? So that kind of bugged me. And yeah, I mean, besides that, I didn't have major problems with the first book. The second one was a bit dull. It was completely different, way different. I liked the whole real world element of the first book. That was gone in the second book. And, Elena and Raphael then just kind of got a bit old. I liked all her. She kind of made some friends with the other angels and vampires. That wasn't too bad. And the story itself was kind of okay, but it just wasn't intense or exciting enough for me, and I just kind of want her to leave that angel place sooner. And I would have read the third book if maybe she was like pregnant in the third book, because like he keeps saying, angels getting pregnant is so rare, and what happened to her is like the most rarest thing ever, so I expected it to kind of go that way. But from the reviews I've read, I don't think she does get pregnant in the third book, so I was like, that's another reason for me not to read it. I suppose the twist at the end of the first book was quite good too, because I didn't know what was going to happen. One second I thought she was dead, the next second I thought she was alive or a vampire, and then I thought she was dead again, and then we find out she's an angel, which I thought was better than her just becoming a vampire. So that was quite different. And I thought, this backstory we get on her and her life and what happened to her sisters and her mother, it was so tragic. It was so just sad and horrible. But the negative thing is that we didn't find out what properly happened until the second book. I think the author meant for us to know at the end of the first book, but I wasn't even 100% sure, because she kept flashing back to it in bits and pieces, and I just wanted a full-on flashback explaining everything. And there were still more things in the second book, and the more she flashed back and the more details we got, the more confused I got. Because then she was trying to piece together what happened in her timeline, and it was different to the timeline I had in my head. And it was just a big just a big whirlwind of this horrible, atrocious attack on her family, and like how she's treated by her dad is awful then as well. But the author could have tidied that up a bit and made it more succinct, I think. And apparently it as well drags into the third book, so that's not good. But I mean, overall the author has good ideas. It's just kind of her execution of it all. I know bringing it together that needs a bit of work. But as I said, the first book I'd recommend, and if you love it, then just read the rest. But that's basically my review. Thank you very much for watching, and tune in to my next one.